Greetings and salutations, everyone. It is the most electrifying man in modern medievalism, I, Stelios Amenephis Onuris, and right now it's just me because Lila's not around. I got a letter today, and by letter I mean a Facebook message, and it came from a guy whose name I'm not gonna divulge, but he told me I'm new to the SCA, like haven't been to an event new. Only practices, and I really enjoyed your take on new players. Well, thank you very much for that. At my primary practice, I have 4 months experience. The next guy up is at 4 years, and after that, it's basically all white belts. Well, my friend here believes that these men with these white belts have forgotten what it is to be new. He says a couple of guys have gone out of their way to talk to him, but the majority that he's fought never spoke to him, and they just stay on their side of the room and he stays on his side of the room, and he feels that just to be taken seriously as a fighter, he's spent more than $1,500 in gear. That's commitment. That is a degree of commitment. And he says, as a new person, if you don't have some natural talent with weapons and about $2,000 to spend, you might make a couple of friends, but the general majority of people look down on you, and you definitely feel it. Now, some might view this as projection, and I will be the first to say, bullshit. It's not projection. I know exactly what he's talking about. The SCA has a culture of elitism, and a lot of people aren't going to like to hear this, but people do judge you based on your kit. If you're a fighter, the first thing people look at when they see you is they look at your kit, and they judge your level of skill based on your kit, which is really, really fucking stupid, if you ask me. Because I know some guys whose kits are a little on the janky side, but they body people. Speaking of bodying people, truth be told, I'm actually really, really disappointed that the knights at his practice haven't really interacted with him. In fact, if you're a new fighter, and this is just my personal standard, you know, I'm not a knight, and I really have no aspiration to be at this point, but I would think that as a peer, you're supposed to be a representative of this organization. And if you see a new person, you, before anybody else, should be one of the first people to approach that new person to welcome him in. Why do I have that standard? Because that is how I was treated. That is how I was treated. And I don't think it's right that somebody has to come to a practice and basically feel ignored by the people who are supposed to be teachers. But you know what? I'm going to flip this, and I'm going to tell you what you need to do. Fighters speak a very specific language, and that is the language of violence. And what that means is, if you really want these guys with these white belts to know that you are here and that you are serious and that you want to fight, go over there and say, hey, you and me, let's go. Yeah, you might get lumped up, but if you sit on the sidelines with your mouth closed and you don't approach these guys to actually knock heads with them, they may never know you exist. Sure, they fight amongst themselves, but you being the guy over there on the sidelines, they know nothing about you. And maybe they feel like it's not their obligation to go over and guide you into this brave new world that is fighting. And they're right. It's not. It's not their job to do that. But it is their job to make you at least feel welcome. And I hope that changes. I actually had a really shitty experience with that down in Louisiana, back when I used to live there. I went to a fight practice and was pretty much cold-shouldered for the entire time I was there by everybody, which fucking sucked, because my very first fight practice was in Ontario, and the Ontarians were really, really nice and really, really welcoming. So, yeah, shame on y'all down there in Louisiana. Furthermore, I tried to contact the Baron of that place, or was it the Chatelaine? Somebody from that place, and I could never get a response back. I had no idea who to talk to, where to go, or even how to get started, which really left a bad taste in my mouth about that particular area. But that's all in the past. What you need to do, young people out here wanting to get your feet wet in this whole fighting world, is you need to walk up to some of these dudes with white belts on, poke them in the chest. Well, don't actually poke them, have some decorum, and challenge these guys. Fight these guys. Show these guys you want to fight them. And they will most likely oblige you. And those who don't, well, fuck them. Move on to the next one. But the only way that you are going to get better at fighting is by fighting people better than you. And the only way that people are going to take notice of your fighting is by getting out there and actually fighting.